Yes, indeed. The world is indeed watching. And we're going to continue keeping our eye on Tigray. We're going to continue keeping our eye on Tigray. And why should we keep our eye on Tigray? I don't know if you all have been paying attention, but the reason the world is watching and the reason it's so important for each and every one of us to pay close attention is because many are saying that there is a genocide that is taking place. There's a genocide taking place. This is I believe it's day 98 in the United States of America, day 99 on the other side of the Atlantic. I know it's 98 or 99, and it depends on what side of the pond you're on. But let me continue to let each and every one of you know that we are watching. We're going to give an update, and we're keeping our eye on Tigray. Keeping our eye on Tigray. Let me hit each and every one of you with the trigger alert. This is a show that triggers people because you've entered a free think zone. If you're not willing to be exposed to other points of view, tune out now and don't read the comments. You have been warned. And as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to read some comments because usually there are some comments, and they're very interesting. I've been reading comments. I'm really interested in the ones that people are saying nothing is happening. Like, Brother Jeff, you're in the United States of America, and nothing is happening. And, you know, we don't believe that there's nothing happening. As a matter of fact, this is day 99 and 99, 98. It's day 99 because tomorrow in New York City, there's going to be an incredible international protest. There's going to be an international gathering that's happening in New York City. So for those of you who are keeping up with what's happening in Tigray, we are at, I'm going to say day 99 because tomorrow is I think tomorrow is day 100 because I just got a message from my brother and sidekick Ndele, and he's in New York right now. And so I was catching up with Ndele, and I was like, is the 100th day on Saturday? And he said, no, the 100th day is tomorrow. So tomorrow, I believe, is Thursday. So if tomorrow is Thursday, Ndele is in New York. This is the 99th day. Like, we're in the 99th day. And shout out to each and every one of you that are either traveling to New York, or you're on your way to New York, or your heart's in New York. And Tammy says at midnight, it will be 100 days. 100 days since the people of Tigray have been blocked out from communication, blocked out from humanitarian aid, blocked out from food, dealing with rape of, I'm even hearing of rape of children, maybe even as young as 5 years old. I'm hearing about rapes of children as young as 5 years old. And I'm also hearing about rape of elders, the elderly. Now, I don't know how that works in terms of your mind, in terms of what you're thinking. But when I tell you rape in general, like, that shouldn't happen in any place for any reason. When I tell you about children and elderly being raped, you probably are even more disgusted in terms of just hearing that. But I'm sorry that I have to say it, but for those who are saying that it's not happening, we are at day 99. We're moving our way into day 100 at midnight. My sidekick and brother is in Delhi, 93.9 FM. We'll be covering this live from New York tomorrow, and that's 100 days. 100 days. So to each and every one of you in these United States of America, I want you to think about Black Lives Matter, and I want you to ask yourself, does that include everyone, including those around the world and in the diaspora? And I'm the type of person that says, yes, it does. It involves all of us. Now, the world was watching what was happening to black people here in these United States of America following the murder of George Floyd, following the murder of Breonna Taylor, following the murder of Tamir Rice, following the murder of, we can go on and on and on and on. Those names are long and varied. And the world looked in to say Black Lives Matter. Now we're looking out to say Black Lives Matter internationally, and we're looking into Tigray right now because we're moving into day 100 at midnight. And again, for those who are saying that there's nothing to see and there's nothing happening, then why is it that international peacekeepers, neutral parties, and humanitarian aid is not making it to individuals throughout the Tigray region? And for those of you who do not know where Tigray is now listen how I'm going to say this, because this is going to probably ruffle some feathers the way that I say this. So I don't want you to get all like the way I'm going to say this is going to ruffle some feathers. But I'm going to tell you that Tigray is north of Ethiopia. See? Listen to how I just said that, and then I'm going to tell you why I said it that way. Tigray is north of Ethiopia in East Africa. Why would I say that? And I'm saying it because if Tigray was a part of Ethiopia, then Ethiopia would not invite foreign governments into Tigray to attack their own nation. Like, I'm going to say that again because someone might have missed what I just said. And we're going to take our time to work our way through some of this. We want the people of Tigray to know that the world is watching. We're keeping our eye on Tigray. You're not alone. And even if the powers that be attempt to stifle your voices, there are people around the world and people throughout these United States of America who are speaking up, and the voices are getting louder and louder and louder because lives are being lost. Some are saying by the millions. And we're going to dig into some of these numbers again in just a moment. What I want everybody to do right now, though, is take an opportunity to share this. Like, if you're thinking about what you can do to help the people of Tigray, what I want you to do right now is just hit that share button. Like, can you just hit the share button? Because there are going to be people who see this maybe for the first time. They're just catching up. And it will build more and more awareness about a potential genocide that is taking place in our midst. And it's up to people from throughout the world to say genocide should not happen in the world for any reason. But let me go back to what I just said, because I think some individuals might be a little disappointed about how I said it. Tigray, as it stands, is north of Ethiopia. So Tigray is between Ethiopia and Eritrea. So if you think about geography, I want you to think about it like this. Tigray is north of Ethiopia and right there on the border of Eritrea. And the reason I'm saying it like that is because there's a conflict in Ethiopia, and if Tigray was a part of Ethiopia, then there would be no government that would allow a foreign government to come in and attack their own citizens. Pick a government on the planet right now. Just pick any government on the planet. And I want you to think about the citizens of a particular country. And you tell me where a government would allow a foreign power to come inside of their country and attack a portion of their citizenry. That would tell you that those individuals that no longer consider themselves Ethiopians, I would say, are on solid ground. They're on solid footing because no government would allow another government to come in and attack their citizens. Now, if that doesn't make sense to anyone, I would like for someone to let me know why that doesn't make sense. Like, why that doesn't make sense. But that's just Brother Jeff speaking, and I don't really have a say in who stays, who goes, how they reconcile. But as it stands right now, the Tigray people have a very strong case to say, why would my government attack me and allow another foreign nation to come in and attack me as well? Like, let me give you my example again from these United States of America. Do you notice that United States flag that I have right here? Like, you can look at the screen and you can look at the lower left corner, and you will see a flag. It's red, white, and blue. and it's the United States of America. It's a United States flag. Well, let me tell you something. A flag represents sovereignty. Like, you cannot have a flag or a recognized flag if you're not sovereign. If you're not sovereign. So if you look at this United States of America, and I'm going to say this again for people who may not follow like government, like things like you don't really follow, these things as closely. But I'm going to break this down, and hopefully I'm going to say it in a way that you'll understand, and it won't look like I'm talking about one group or over another group or this or that. What I will say is this. Inside that United States flag, you have 50 stars. There are 50 stars within that flag of the United States of America. And of course, there are 13 13 stripes. You got the stars and stripes, and like one represented those original 13 colonies, but you could see it expanded. You've got 50 states. If you come to the United States of America, you're going to notice that there are 50 unique flags in the United States of America, and each one of those flags represent sovereignty. Now, there's an agreement that there's a United States, but those 50 individual states function as one. If you go to the Tigray region, you will see that they have a flag. And if they're not sovereign, then no government would allow them or recognize their flag. That being said, it is reported, and it has been documented, and it is a fact as of right now that Eritrean troops were or are inside of Tigray. Eritrean troops, in other words, Eritrea has their own flag. They have their own flag as a nation, and there's never a reason for another nation to allow a sovereign nation to bring their flag, let alone their military, inside of their country. For example, I want you to travel the United States of America. I want you to travel the United States of America. And I want you to see how many flags from other nations are allowed to fly proudly within the United States of America. I'm not talking about when you get to like the United Nations and you've got places where you've got a lot of flags represented. And if those flags are flying, the United States of America flag will be higher than those flags. Why would a sovereign nation allow for another nation to fly their flag in their nation in the form of military troops, armament, and etc.? That's the reason why right now Tigray is north of Ethiopia. Does that make sense? Now, for those who say that there are no Eritrean troops inside of Ethiopia, then why would the President of the United States of America, through the State Department, issue a statement saying that Eritrean troops should leave Ethiopia? Like, do you think that the United States of America does not have satellite imagery, does not have the capacity? As a matter of fact, do you believe any any government does not have the ability to see the movement of troops anywhere in the world. Like, let me tell you how deep this is. I can go right now on the internet and just go to Google Earth, and I can look at your house and I can see the car parked in front of your house right now. That is a basic consumer use of technology right now. That is basic consumer accessible technology. It's called Google Earth. I can go to Google Earth right now and I can actually zoom in. I can zoom in on your house. I can see the cars driving down your block. And I can look at what's taking place in your neighborhood right now with just a click of the button and your address. That being said, if I can do that as a consumer, do you think the United States of America or any government has the ability to see where military troops are on this planet right now and what they're doing, how they're doing it, and where they're doing it? The United States of America says Eritrean troops should leave Ethiopia. I know there are people who are denying that Eritrean troops are in Ethiopia, but just because you deny it doesn't mean that it's not taking place. And if it's not taking place, why not open up? Why not open up? Why not open up and let international peacekeepers go in? It doesn't matter if Google Earth is live or not. If Google Earth is not live, when those images were taken that you're seeing, they were live at a particular time. And they can be updated regularly. So we're not going to mince words. Like, we're not going to mince technology. We're not going to mince technology. Like, you go into certain nations right now and they'll say something like, you can't take a picture. And I'm like, your entire nation is being photographed right now by Google. My little cell phone is not going to damage your country. This is just technology. That being said, we're at 99 days. And let me tell you what's been happening that's documented in these 99 days. Right now, there's 215 shares. And the reason I want to get more and more shares because we want to get more and more eyes on Tigray. We want more and more people watching this. Like, we want you to talk about Tigray in the same way the world has been talking about George Floyd and the murder of George Floyd by the police officer that had his knee on George Floyd's neck, and the world was outraged. Let me tell you something right now. On day 87, the Red Cross said that there would be a need for $22 million U.S. in response to the acute humanitarian needs of Tigray. This was on day 87. This is on day 87. Let's go to day 90. If you don't mind, let's go to day 90 for a second. It was estimated that the death toll was at least 50,000 people. And a humanitarian disaster of biblical proportions will become a gruesome reality. That was like on day 90. That's like on day 90. Remember, we're on day 99 right now. I think the program might say day 98 or something like today we're on day 99, and tomorrow New York City is going to be flooded with individuals that are going to get this message out. And again, shout out to each and every one of you that are traveling to New York, that you'll be watching, and we'll be broadcasting as much of that activity live as possible via Indele and 93.9 FM, our partner in keeping our eye on Tigray. Day 90, 50,000 is a death toll. Let's go to day 92 with a spokesperson from the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, B-L-I-N-K-E-N. They related that the German Chancellor and the French President have all spoken to Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and have urged him to open up the Tigray region, which we might as well say country right now, to humanitarian aid and journalists. So if in fact there's nothing going on, then why would the German Chancellor and the French President appeal to the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, to open up the Tigray to humanitarian aid and journalists? Like, if nothing is happening. I'm going to continue because I'm just talking about day 90 because I don't think that things have gotten better. I'm saying things have probably gotten worse, and now we need action. We need more action. And one thing you can perhaps do is just share this this feed right now. Maybe you can just share this so more people will know. This is like 300 and some odd individuals have shared this. And then I'm going to tell you who I've shared this with as well, because we have some information from individuals that we've been talking to here in the United States of America that will also be chiming in on what's going on in Tigray. How about if we go to day 93? How many of you want to join me in day 93? How many of you want to join me in day 93 when the United Nations Special Advisor on Genocide Prevention, isn't it a shame we've got to have a special advisor on genocide prevention, said that without immediate and urgent measures being taken, the possibility of further atrocities occurring remain high and likely to get worse. That was day 93, and I'm telling you, I believe things have gotten worse. And by the time I get up to 99, day 99, you're going to see that things have indeed gotten worse, as predicted by the United Nations Special Advisor on Genocide Prevention. Good people all over the world, everybody who's watching this, no matter who you are, your race, your ethnicity, your background, your income, your station in life, your country of where you reside, your neighborhood, or any of that stuff, I want you to just put your eye on Tigray and ask yourself, is genocide taking place? Don't get into politics of it. Just ask yourself, do you believe that genocide is the answer to any disagreement, whatever that disagreement may be? And we're going to continue because there are a lot of civilians that are being caught in the middle of all of this. And if we're not going to stand up for the children, the women, the civilians, then who are we going to stand up for? Where are we going to stand up for them? And when are we going to stand up for them? I'm going to continue to keep our eye on Tigray. Perhaps I will go to day 96. Again, On day 96, there has been approval from the Ethiopian government for 25 international staff to provide humanitarian assistance inside the country's conflict-torn Tigray region. This is according to a spokesman, and according to what I've been hearing is that aid is not getting to where it is intended to get to. So with that being said, why don't we open it up and allow people to see exactly what's taking place? We're going to continue because right now I'm going to take you to where we're at. I had day 98, but today is actually day 99, and 100. Day 100 reigns in at midnight. Day 100 reigns in at midnight. There's deep concerns. And do you know what it means when someone says ethnic tensions? Like ethnic tensions? Ethnic tensions means that people are being targeted because their ethnicity. And for those of you who don't get what that means, in the United States of America, there are black people that are shot down without recourse simply because they are black. So if you thought about blackness as an ethnicity, then you'd probably be able to understand what it means to be of the Tigray ethnicity and be shot down simply because of what? Your ethnicity. I'm just, what part of this is what part of this is a lie? I'm just asking for transparency. Okay, let's assume everything I said. Hey, Justice. Assume everything that I said is a lie. Like everything Brother Jeff is saying right now is not true. How do you prove that? By opening up the doors and allowing people to go in and allowing journalists to do what journalists do and allowing the international community to look around and not be shown what you want to show them, but like open up the doors and let people look around. If what Brother Jeff is saying is a lie, then open up the doors and I will be happy to say I wasn't lying, I was misinformed, but I'm telling you, based on what the Red Cross is saying, based on what UNICEF is saying, based on what international humanitarian relief organizations are saying, because you don't believe Brother Jeff, maybe you believe them. Because you don't believe me, you don't believe me. You probably think that I don't even know anything about Tigray. You probably think that I don't know anything about Tigray. You probably might be saying I don't know anything about Ethiopia. You might be you might be saying that. But then you might be surprised that I've lived in and I've been in more places in Ethiopia than folks who are from Ethiopia. As a matter of fact, you don't even know where I'm from. Like, you don't even know where I'm from. Bottom line is if I'm not telling the truth, and the reason I'm passionate about this and the reason I'm going to keep saying this is because if Black Lives Matter globally. Like, regardless of who's dealing with those black lives. So let's get to day 99. And I'm going to say shout out to each and every one of you who are paying attention to this, because right now, more than 431 people have shared what's being said right now. And the reason we are being a voice for the voiceless is because the Tigray people have been locked out from communication for dang near 100 days. They've been locked out from medicine for 100 days. They've been locked out to access to water for 100 days. They've been locked out from a sense of being able to walk freely and safely for 100 days. They have been crying out saying that rapes are occurring. We have good information and lots of stories from individuals who fled into Sudan. If nothing is happening, why would millions flee from their own homes? Like, if nothing is happening, like nothing's happening, I just wake up tomorrow and I decide I want to flee to Sudan. Like, Brother Jeff, what are you doing? I don't know. Maybe I'll just go ahead and flee over here to Sudan. Why would, Brother Jeff, why you want to flee to Sudan? Because nothing's happening. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, Brother Jeff, what are you going to do? I'm going to pack up all my family and I'm going to leave my livelihood and I'm going to just leave everything I know. And what are you going to do? I just feel like fleeing to Sudan. Justice, does that even make sense? Okay, if Brother Jeff is not telling the truth, if Brother Jeff is misinformed, ask yourself the simple question. Do you think 500,000, a million or more are going to just jump up and flee from their homes? Just why? Because nothing's happening. Well, here's what UNICEF had to say. UNICEF said that there are approximately 280,000 internally displaced children. Like, don't believe, like, according to UNICEF, not according to Brother Jeff, because, no one wants to maybe believe me, and, you might want to call me names, and you might want to, like, your name calling doesn't hurt me. Like, it doesn't, like, I just have a simple question. And my simple question is, why are 70,000 children at risk in Tigray? Like, why are 70,000 children at risk? Because, like, nobody, like, okay, if it's a war, then why is 70,000 children at risk? Like, if we care so much. And here's my next question. Why are so many people quiet about this? Like Dr. Martin Luther King said, we will not remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Like, when you're inside of a nation and another sovereign nation comes in and attacks you inside of said nation, and there's relative silence, that silence is deafening. We're being the voice of the voiceless, and until the people of Tigray, the people of the world who have been silenced, have an opportunity to raise and use their voices and tell their stories, there shall be people on record to say that we will share those stories while you are being terrorized. And what I mean by terrorized is this. I've got words of individuals that say they won't leave their homes because if they walk out of their house, they'll be shot down in the street. Well, speaking of being shot down, I mean, you don't want me to, like, I just happen to have all of this information. Right there in Oxum, they said that folks were fleeing for safety inside of the church, and soldiers just pulled them out and shot them dead right there in the plaza of the church. And well, if that is indeed not true, then why not let's just go ahead and open it up and see. The President of the United States of America has just taken office, and you can see the turmoil we're in right now. Right now, they are still in the Senate attempting to convict the past president. I'm going to read your comments. But in the meantime, there are 3 demands that I've been seeing that the people of Tigray have been demanding. They want full humanitarian aid and access to reach the Tigray region. They want communications restored with independent journalists, and they want the prime minister and the head of Eritrea to be held 100% accountable if, in fact, war crimes are being enacted. Hashtag stop war on Tigray. Hashtag Eritrea out of Tigray. Justice, we got any more hashtags? Like, somebody give me a list of just hashtags. Like, somebody just give me a list of hashtags. But the goal is to stop the genocide in Tigray. Like, we need, like, if there's no genocide taking place, let's go ahead and make sure that it's not taking place, and it will, and like, let's just make sure that folks that are fleeing for safety are not being targeted. Like, for example, here's something I heard. I had heard that there were individuals that fled from Eritrea that were refugees in Tigray. I heard that there were refugees that fled from Eritrea that were inside of Tigray. Now I understand nobody knows where they're at. We're going to continue to be the voice for the voiceless. We're coming at you from these United States of America. We opened up the show and we showed you that there are folks in Seattle, there are folks in Boston, there are folks in New York, there are folks in Delaware and D.C. and Virginia, and you know there's places there in L.A., they're in Minnesota, they're everywhere until we get to 50 states. Hashtag, there's a hashtag. I mean, there's so many hashtags that are popping up. Shout out to all of you that are putting that information out. There's a number right there, 100. I think I saw it was 180,000 refugees. Let me, like, it moves fast over there. Let me see if I could pull it up on this phone. And I'm not going to hang out long with you tonight. I just wanted you to know that we are still on the case. We are still keeping our eye on Tigray. And there's something I want to share with you before I get out of here. But I want to go in here and I want to see what some of these comments are. Hashtag Tigray can't wait. Wow. The world is watching, and I'm like, I'm constantly thinking about the folks that say that those who are saying what I'm saying are liars. Okay. I've already addressed this. If we're liars, then just shed some sunlight. The way you expose a liar or the way you expose darkness is by putting light out. So then just put as much light out as you can, and you will see that those who are being called liars are either telling the truth or they're lying. Maybe they're not folks that have fled to Sudan. Maybe there weren't Eritrean refugees in Tigray. Maybe there weren't Eritrean troops inside of Tigray. Maybe folks who consider themselves now Tigray, and they were always Tigray, they were always different races and ethnicities. They were under a common bond called Ethiopia, but now that fabric continues to get torn apart, and there are individuals that are saying, if you're going to bomb me with another nation, then I'm obviously not a part of Ethiopia. Do you know what happens? Do you know what happens in the United States of America if, in fact, there's a national emergency? Justice, do you know what happens if there's a problem in the United States of America?
Humanitarian aid is immediately brought into the situation.
Well, okay, I want you to think about this. I want you all to think about this. Are you ready? If there's a problem inside of the United States of America, the federal government does not call Canada, does not call Mexico, does not call any foreign government to come and handle internal problems. They have what's called the National Guard. It's called the National Guard. But guess what? The National Guard cannot come into a state unless the governor invites the National Guard into their state. The National Guard doesn't just get to come into Colorado. Like, the National Guard doesn't get to just go into New York. The National Guard doesn't get to just go into L.A. The National Guard doesn't get to just go into Louisiana. The National Guard doesn't get to go into Kansas. The National Guard doesn't get to go into Nebraska or North Dakota or South Dakota or Missouri or, Illinois or Texas. The National Guard doesn't get to do that. As a matter of fact, each one of those states have their own internal mechanisms. But when the National Guard is deployed, say, for example, there's a state that's having a problem, they got to get permission. Like, they don't get to just roll up in. Like, you just get to roll up in and then just, like, bring in troops. And, like, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. And I don't care how mad you are. I don't care how upset you are. I don't care what's happening. Maybe if you came up and then somebody defended themselves because that's happening, then maybe that's why you have a conflict. I don't know. The truth will come out when the doors are opened and more sunlight is put on this situation. Right now, here's what we're saying. Let me just go here, and then I'm going to leave. And I'm going to look for you tomorrow in New York. All right. If nothing is happening, I'd like for you to think about the headline in today's. It's coming out of Nairobi, Kenya. The AP. They're known as the Associated Press. Are you ready? And let's see here. Here's what we're going to do. We're keeping our eyes on Tigray. We want you to just share this. And then I'm going to tell you what we're working on right now. There are almost 600 people who have shared this. There are almost 600 people who have shared this. Tomorrow, New York City is going to be flooded with individuals that would like this story to be highlighted and the world to know what's taking place north of Ethiopia, right below Eritrea, and it's called Tigray. Emaciated survivors hint at worse in Ethiopia's Tigray. Okay. Coming out of Nairobi, Kenya. And by the way, I've been to Nairobi, Kenya also. Like, I followed the Rift Valley, so it's one thing to be able to see individuals, and then it's another thing to be able to talk about individuals. We are one family. It's called humanity, and we need to make sure we treat each other as such. According to the AP, this is today for those of you who are keeping up on day 99. Justice, are you ready for day 99? Okay, let's get to day 99. I'm benefiting from water. Unfortunately, there are some individuals who are being denied fresh water, medicine, food, safety, protection, etc., and another nation is within their borders. Many severe cases of malnutrition are being reported in Ethiopia's embattled Tigray region. Who said this? Not Brother Jeff. This is according to Red Cross officials. When did they say that? They said this today. Somebody said, how much am I being paid for this false information? Like, that's the problem. Some people think that everything is around money. Like, if you give someone money, that motivates them to do certain things. There are many people on this planet that are not motivated by money. They're motivated by values such as truth and justice, and they believe that things like rape and genocide and hunger and famine are not things to be celebrated or ignored. Some people on this planet are not motivated by another dollar, another fancy, shiny something, but some folks just say that children should not be raped, mothers shall not be raped, grandmothers should not be raped, and if that's not happening, then good people should be peeping in to make sure it's not happening, and if it is happening, should do whatever they can to stop it. That's the type of people that are on this planet also. Everybody's not motivated by money and power. Everybody's not motivated by dominating someone else. Everybody's not motivated by taking from somebody else. Everybody's not motivated by that. So if you think that's my motivation, I'm telling you, I've probably got enough money right now. like genocide doesn't compare with money. Hunger doesn't compare to money. So all of you who just think money, come to the United States of America and let me see how long your money will last. Most folks can't even make it from the airport to the downtown area in a city before going bankrupt right here in the United States of America. So don't talk to me about money, because here money reigns supreme. It's expensive. It's like I always say, it's the cost of living here is higher than giraffe genitals. So don't talk to me about money. Everybody's not motivated by that. Some people are motivated by just wanting peace. Some people are motivated by just wanting security. Some people are motivated by wanting to respect their elders. Some people are motivated by wanting to have a safe world for children. Some people are motivated by saying education should be allowed to everybody. Some people are just motivated by what we call humanity, and what we call them are humanitarians. Like, we call them humanitarians. And so don't get it mixed up when you're looking at humanitarians versus somebody who just wants another extra dollar, or like another extra buck. According to the AP, and you can call them liars if you want to, many severe cases of malnutrition are being reported in Ethiopia's embattled Tigray region. This is according to not Brother Jeff. This is according to the Red Cross. And they say 80% of Tigray's 6 million people are unreachable in the 4th month of fighting and emaciated. Women and children fill displacement camps. Now, let me ask you this. How good do you feel about just that first paragraph? Like, for those of you who saying that's a lie and you just want another dollar, you want a buck, you need a little extra money. It's like, hold on a second. I'm straight. Like what would I need? Like somebody shut up, Jeff. Like, no. I'm in a place right now where we have the right to use our voice, and we use it. Like, I might have to shut up where you're at, but I don't have to shut up where I'm at. And that's why I'm using my voice to speak for those who may not be able to speak right now. And one of the reasons they can't speak is because they've been blocked out of communication for, as the AP says, close to 4 months of fighting. Emaciated women and children field displacement camps. Now, let me just go on to the second paragraph if, in fact, that doesn't get your attention. This is today. Reports of people already starving to death. Might just be a handful, but after a month, it will be in the thousands, warned Ethiopian Red Cross President Ato Abira Tola. After 2 months, he said it will be tens of thousands. So if you're not listening to Brother Jeff, why don't you listen to the president of the Red Cross in Ethiopia? Like, Brother Jeff doesn't know what he's talking about. So the president of the Ethiopian Red Cross says that there are already instances of people who have starved to death. Like, can you imagine what it's like to starve to death? Like, let's just stop right now for just a moment. Let's start for just a moment. There's 700 shares of this right now. 700 shares. Keep sharing it because we're going to keep our eye on Tigray. And I won't be with you much longer today because we want to cover what's happening tomorrow on the 100th day. But can you imagine what it takes to starve to death? Like, okay, in Ethiopia, when you go to a restaurant in Ethiopia, they have on the menu certain days where it's called fasting. Like, this is the fasting menu. You don't have that so much in the United States of America because, you know, we don't really like roll like that often, but there's menus where folks this is the fasting menu. In other words, we don't eat certain things on certain days. So here's a fasting menu. Well, those who know anything about fasting, have you ever fasted for 2 or 3 days and you just haven't eaten anything? Have you ever fasted for 2, 3, 4 days and you just haven't eaten anything? Have you ever fasted to where you didn't eat and you didn't drink and you did that for 3 or 4 days? How much does it take for you to starve to death before your body starts eating itself to the point to where you just die? If that is not a miserable form of inhumanity to allow someone to starve to death, then there is not a better definition of inhumanity than that. And the president of the Red Cross says there are people in Ethiopia that have starved to death. Does that, like, is that something we're not going to tolerate? Like, is that like a reason to allow international and folks to come in and provide food? Like, when you won't provide food for your own people and you allow another nation to come in and bomb and kill your people and also pillage their property and belongings and not allow them to eat, like, what are we dealing with? I know. There's no leader that would allow their people to starve to death. Especially if you have the last name, and I don't even hear that last name often. I hear the name Abiy Ahmed. Do you want me to educate you all on something real quick if you don't already know? Justice, do you want me to share something with you real quick? The Prime Minister of Ethiopia, his name is Abiy Ahmed, right? He won the Nobel Peace Prize for something that took place with Eritrea. Now, right now, you've got a Nobel Peace Prize winner allowing folks to starve to death in his country. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not being critical. I'm just asking questions because we have an opportunity to ask questions, at least where I'm at right now. If you think about the name Abby, if you think about the Arabic language, they call father Ab or Abu. Now, when you say Abi, that means my father. When you say Abi, that means my father. So what you're doing is you're saying, my father is allowing me to starve to death. Abi means my father. Ahmed is a noble name, but the name that they don't necessarily share with you is this name, Justice, Ali. Ali. Ali means, like, if you think about something high, Ali means higher than that. Like, Ali means the most high. So if you think about that name and then you think about genocide and you think about rape and you think about starvation, they're incongruent. You can't be the most high and have starvation right there attached to your name. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, if everything I'm saying is not true, then just open up the doors for people to see it. Let's continue. It said that nearly 3.8 million people in Tigray are in need of help. This is according to the Red Cross. The president of the Ethiopian Red Cross says that there's 3.8 million people in Tigray that are in need of help. That's what Brother Jeff is talking about right now. That's what Brother Jeff is talking about right now. That's what Brother Jeff is talking about right now. Let me tell you, let me tell you what the president of the International Federation of Red Cross and the Red Crescent Society said. See, when you got the Red Cross and you got the Red Crescent, what you're talking about are two faith traditions coming together, working together in terms of humanity. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Well, this is Francesco Rocca, president of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, says there are, quote, that just Mekala in and of itself. Remember, I always tell you all that I want my wife and I to get a house in Mekala, like want to be in Mekala. Well, right now in Mekala, according to the international president or the Federation of Red Cross, there's 250,000 displaced people there. Like, can you imagine 250,000 people just showing up in Mekala? Like, we'll never, like, 250,000 people are displaced in Mekala. He says he was able to see this, and it was a very difficult visit. He says the hospitals which are accessible are barely working. They have no medication, no food for patients, and virtually no support. It's surreal, and all of the stuff has either been looted or damaged. goes on to say, I have never seen a place where a simple antibiotic is not present, and expresses shock at the systematic aggression to health facilities. What that's basically saying is where you would go to get health care, folks are destroying, looting, and making sure that even when you get there, there's nothing there for you that would help you. The vaccines are expired. There's no HIV or tuberculosis drugs. Rocca goes on to say this is unacceptable. Says there's a high risk of an outbreak of cholera and other diseases. This is going into 99 days. At midnight, it will be 100 days. 100 days of this. So, maybe I'm not telling the truth. Maybe I'm misled. Maybe there aren't 250,000 displaced people in just Mekelle. You know, maybe they all just went to go visit Gondor. Maybe they just all went to go visit Adwa. Maybe they just all went to go visit Lalibela. They wanted to go see St. George's over there in Lalibela. They just wanted to go over there and see the New Jerusalem. Maybe they're just hanging out in the New Jerusalem over there in Lalibela. Maybe they just went into Deir Adawa and they went up in there and they just wanted to go up to Harar and see, you know, those five righteous entrances to Harar. Maybe all these folks in Ethiopia and Tigray are just maybe they're just sightseeing. Maybe they're just hanging out. And everything that I'm saying is not true. Maybe they're up there with my mama in Ramah. Maybe they're up there in Ramah. That's where they're at. They're just hanging out with my mama in Ramah. That's what they're doing. So, with that being said, we have an international crisis on our hands. There's a sense of urgency. The world is watching. Tomorrow, New York City will be filled with individuals. We're waiting to see what is happening. We believe what the international community is saying is true. We know that there are troops from Eritrea in or were in Tigray. Heck, maybe everybody's just in Aksum. Maybe they just all wanted to go over there in Aksum and hang out. And maybe they just wanted to go see the Ark of the Covenant. Maybe they wanted to see the Ark of the Covenant, and then they wanted to go over here this way and look at the steles. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're at that Mariam church, or maybe they went over there and they wanted to go over there and see Queen Sheba's, the remains of her castle right over there. Maybe that's where they're at. But if in fact children are displaced, like like UNICEF said, 70,000 of them at risk. Maybe the hospitals are filled with medicine when in fact we know that they're not. Maybe Sudan is just, the best place. Folks just want to go over and hang out in Sudan in refugee camps. Maybe all of this is just not taking care, not a reality, and 99 days later, Brother Jeff is just ranting and making things up, but I don't think so. Maybe the Doctors Without Borders who wanted to get in and were not able to get in, and once they did get in, they just saw 80 to 90% of the health centers that they visited in Mekelle and Aksum were not functional. Maybe the crisis they're talking about is not actually real. Maybe when they say that the health system is broken and there's widespread need for vaccinations and disease detection and nutritional programs that they say are not functioning are actually functioning. Maybe all of the things that we're saying where they're talking about people are fleeing violence and living in fear in Tigray. These are just citizens. Like, these aren't soldiers. These are just citizens. maybe this isn't true, but I believe it is true. Maybe these lines with 500 people just waiting to get a drink of water, are somebody's imagination. This is Doctors Without Borders. This is President Biden urging, Eritrean troops to get out of Ethiopia and the war to stop. Maybe there are not 30,000 refugees in Sudan. Maybe we don't have a humanitarian crisis. But what if we do? Well, if we do, you're a part of the 700 and plus people who shared this and are concerned and are going to make sure that you use your voice for the voiceless. Not because you want to get paid, not because, you want to be the next person in power. Maybe you just think children should have access to water. Maybe you just think that rape shouldn't take place. Maybe you just think genocide is not a good thing. Maybe you just think that a sovereign flag is a sovereign flag. Maybe you think that the 50 United States are 50 independent states. And if you can wrap your mind around 50 independent states functioning as one, then you can understand that when you go visit different areas in Ethiopia and you see various flags, what you're going to be seeing is various statements of independence, and you just can't walk up and take somebody's independence from them and think that they're just going to allow that to happen. So when folks say that, if my government is going to attack me, then you can understand why there are a lot of black folks in the United States of America that don't feel as though they have support for their particular lives. And so they band together to save their lives. Maybe you have the people of Tigray banding together to save their lives. If you can understand it here, but you can't understand it there, then what you're doing is missing the point. And we can't have genocide anywhere on the planet. With that being said, hashtag stop the war in Tigray. We're going to keep our eye on Tigray. This is day 99. At midnight, it will be day 100. Tomorrow, we will convene and share with you information from New York. We will continue to be the voice of the voiceless. We're coming at you from these United States of America, letting you know that the world is watching. More and more individuals are watching. Momentum is taking place, and truth will be had. Stop the war on Tigray. Eritrea out of Tigray. Provide full humanitarian aid and access to the Tigray region, and allow communications and journalism to take place. And if you're patterning yourself after democracy, these are basic tenets of democracy. If you're going to have a dictatorship, have a dictatorship. If you're going to have a democracy, if you're going to have a relationship, if you're going to have a sense of sovereignty, well, respect the sovereignty of each and every one. The people of Tigray, the people of Ethiopia, you all will make a decision in terms of how you want to live and how you want to live together. But in the meantime, we should make sure that genocide is not taking place. Rape is not taking place. Children are not starving to death, and people are not being assaulted and attacked in their attempt to be in a safe place. All right? I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I want to say thank you to almost the 800 folks that have shared this. We appreciate that. It's most valuable and it's most appreciated. We have 1,000 shares. And with those 1,000 shares, we're going to continue to make sure we continue sharing what's taking place in Tigray. Keep our eye on Tigray.